So I think there were all these opportunities that allowed me to just accept the fact that reinventing is just part of life. What's not okay is being stale. Because that's when you get the phone call, Jay, can you help me fire this person? Because they're just not excited to be here anymore. So I think there's just some things around community responsibility and being mindful, not just of what I want to do and what makes me quote unquote successful, but making sure others around me were also following suit, and that I don't leave, to Governor Moore's comments, like don't leave someone behind, especially if they're right next to you. And then the idea of reinventing yourself is a message that I've seen over and over and over again throughout my career.
And we're back with another episode of Why You're Working. I'm one of your hosts, Jay.
I'm Michael Agusanya.
Today is just a preview of Jay's episode. Wanted to give you a little bit of insights. We learned a lot talking to Jay. He's the CEO of Innovation Works and also a venture capitalist at Ignite Capital, a social venture capital firm focused here in Baltimore on entrepreneurs, companies that are centered in the city, focused on benefiting communities in Baltimore for a socially added benefit and engagement with the community. So, Michael, you have any more to say about the episode?
Yeah. Speaking of Baltimore, we're here right now at the Fearless headquarters for the Future of Tech and Innovators brunch. So we're really glad to be around these people focused on building community. And Jay has been doing that for years, decades. You know, he worked in private equity, he worked in the larger spaces, and you'll hear a lot about it. But he chose that he could do more for his community and for his family by doing things of impact and at scale in Baltimore. So I think we both really enjoyed this conversation. He's a mentor, not only to me, but hundreds of entrepreneurs in this space. I thoroughly can think about, at least 4 key takeaways that I'm going to use moving forward when I review and look at this episode. So I can't wait for y'all to see it.
For sure. And again, make sure you all check out Innovation Works. And if you're in Baltimore, especially, Innovation Works is literally right down the streets in downtown. If you are doing something social entrepreneurship related, don't be afraid to reach out to Jay and, get some insights from him as far as, what you need to do venture capital wise to get money, get funding, or even just get support and resources. Because again, like we said, Fearless is one of these resources in the community as we're here today. We're all Baltimore alums, so come here to, make sure that we're giving back to the community. And this is one of the ways that, we want to make sure that you guys have access to do that. So happy that you are listening and watching our episode today. And we'll see you next time with some more Why Y'all Working.
Good job.
Peace.
Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Why Y'all Working. I'm your co-host, Michael Agusanya.
I'm allergic.
And we have the illustrious Jay Nwachu here with us. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, how's everybody?
Awesome. So Jay is the CEO of Innovation Works and Ignite Capital, a social organization based in Baltimore focused on uplifting the economic opportunity for the hundreds of thousands of Baltimoreans that live within the city today. You've been working on this for years. You have an experience and past within the economics and entrepreneurial space yourself. Let's get started and welcome to the group. Say what's up, Jay.
All right, you got it. Let's do this. Let's do it.
Cool. So let's start with the first question, Jay. Why do you work?
Why do I work? I'm a man of faith, so I believe that being born with certain gifts or talents, it is my responsibility to contribute to this earth while I occupy it. And for me, work is one of the way I live into the idea of being a good steward of this earth, right? So we all have a responsibility, and the idea is to take the skills or whatever talents I've been given to make the world a better place. So that's why I work. And for some crazy reason, we live in a capitalist environment where you got to earn money to actually pay bills and live a decent life. So that's another reason to work. But for most importantly, it's the idea of putting my skills to use.
Love that. And at what point did you realize that do you see yourself as a venture capitalist? Do you see yourself as a social innovator? Do you see yourself as a social leader? How do you categorize Jay?
Right now I see myself as on one end, an impact investor for Ignite Capital and someone who loves entrepreneurship as a means to create good and new things and to also create opportunities for folks that are often left out of the market system. So all in there is social innovation and how we think about lifting the social conditions of our people by using the tools that we have access to, whether it's the the finance side of things, or social capital, and all the things that are required to actually build a business or a nonprofit.
Nice. And this is a question I'm sure a lot of people have. What is Innovation Works, and when did Ignite Capital become its venture arm?
Cool. So Innovation Works is, again, a nonprofit, but we focus on supporting social entrepreneurs in Baltimore City. And what social entrepreneurs really mean for us is the idea that you could be leading a for-profit or a nonprofit or a hybrid, everything in between. But there has to be some mission in the organization, in the work, that is, for us, specifically rooted in Baltimore City, right? So I would love the businesses to be as successful as they can be. That can mean selling products all the way out to California. But I would love to create as many jobs in the city as a result of it. I would love to keep as many working families in the city as a result of that mission that they're leading on. And, and so some folks are product-based, some are service-based, some are big, like venture backable, and some are just going to be neighborhood-based businesses to make sure that if you choose to live in West Baltimore, you don't have to travel so far out of your neighborhood to get your basic needs met, right? So for us, the idea of social entrepreneurship is a way of saying we can grow our economy, but we can also do it in a responsible manner that takes care of our fellow citizens in the same process. So we support social entrepreneurs. That's what Innovation Works does through a variety of resources. But we know that one of the most important ingredients to launching, growing, and or scaling any venture, whether it's a social one or a non-social one, is capital. You can't do much without capital to participate in the system. So we launched Ignite Capital about 2 years or so after launching Innovation Works. Ignite Capital was launched in March of 2020. It was a crazy time as the pandemic was picking up. But the premise of Ignite Capital really was this idea that for many Black folks, especially in Baltimore City, coming to that first check is very difficult. I don't care if you're a tech company, or if you're a manufacturing business, or if you're a retail business on the main street. Finding the first person to give you that first check and the first opportunity to go fuel the thing you want to do is very difficult, because there are many barriers that have been put in place, whether it's credit checks, personal guarantees, collateral requirements. Do you have founder experience? If you ever launched something before? Do you have the pedigree? Do you know the right people? There's so many hurdles that we put in front of people. And we thought Ignite Capital would be a way to maybe turn that system upside its head, like remove those barriers and take a chance on people. Don't get me wrong, we're not doing it foolishly. Innovation Works exists to support folks with all the technical assistance and all the connections that they need. So relationships are being built at Innovation Works, and we consider that relationship probably one of the biggest risk mitigating factors to our lending, right? Because, if we are in a relationship, then you will come to us before something goes wrong, so we can work at it. If we're in a relationship, you're not afraid to tell me, right, when things aren't going well, because then I can go find you more help. Right, so relationship for us is really, really important. Ignite Capital has now been around for a little over about 4.5 years now or so, and that's been going great as well.
That's awesome. Larry, you want to jump in?
Yeah, appreciate you mentioning that, Jay. I know our audience would love to kind of get into your background, how you kind of even got here, how you even got started with social entrepreneurship. So can you shed a little bit of light on how did the Jay of today become the Jay of today based on the Jay of yesterday?
It's a bit of a winding road, so just be patient for a minute here. So. I'm Nigerian, migrated to the United States when I was in 9th grade, and that was in 1995. And in 1995, computers were hot, right? Everything was about computers, technology and the growth and everything that was coming up at the same time. So in high school, I remember my senior year, taking a CNA class, a Certified Network Administrator certification thingamajig, while I was going to school half-time. And I was just going to go do this computer thing. That's really what it was, because, Nigerian parents, doctor, engineer, or pastor, I was not. Computers really, really was where I stuck myself. And then I actually went to undergrad at UMBC to study computer engineering and math. And I remember doing the first 3 years of computer engineering work in all the programming classes and the AND gates and the OR gates and the physics and all the stuff, with a decently B average. But I remember my junior year hitting this crisis moment where I was just like, I don't want to do this. This is crazy. I like people way too much. Right? I sat down with one of my mentors, and he was like, yeah, Jay, every time I talk to you, you never talk about computers. You talk about the work you're doing with your fraternity. You talk about the work that you're doing in, leadership on campus. That's the stuff that gives you joy and just helping people solve problems. So I had a crisis moment and explored that for a bit. And honestly, I changed my major my 4th year as a leap of faith. My parents probably almost killed me at that point. But deep down, I think it's a Nigerian in me too. I know there was business in there somewhere, entrepreneurship, right? But UMBC didn't have a business program, which is really what I would have done. I didn't want to transfer out because that would have put me back. So I did some research and found the field of industrial psychology. This idea that people and systems, right, together, like have a unique role in how we grow and live our lives in a just way. So that's what my master's is actually in, is industrial and organizational psychology. And my first career was in talent acquisition. So I was a recruiter, to say the least, in a number of different ways. In-house agency with clients in Fortune 500s, the federal government, to small nonprofits, kind of did a whole bit for over 10 years and then hit a wall because, I think the last bit of it was more DEI was becoming the bigger thing. And I watch a lot of our corporate clients just dressing up the window, but not really doing it. And when you are on the outside, not an employee on the inside, you're the agency, like coming in as a consultant, you don't have that much power. And I was just like, I help bring talent. And within a year or two, y'all lose them and I got to bring more. Don't get me wrong. Great revenue model. You don't keep them. I keep supplying. We keep making money, but it's not what the mission is. Right. So I eventually just decided that I failed. I was done with it. But while I was trying to figure out the transition, my wife and I actually started an organization called Unlock Africa to support social entrepreneurs in Africa. She's a global affairs and international development person. So we figured, let's just do something back home. So that's how I kind of got into social entrepreneurship, was really in Africa while I was trying to figure out my career in the United States. And then in 2016, it was right after Freddie Gray, a lot of thinking about what's my life going to be? I don't want to do this thing anymore, but what is it? With our first son that year, our first child, again, life decisions, like I can't be traveling 4 days a week with the family and all that stuff. So it really forced the issue about what do you do for Baltimore? You live here, you've been here all these years. How do you really, really dig into Baltimore? That's where I kind of figured, well, social entrepreneurship with a brand new family across the globe requires way too much right now. How do we transition that energy to Baltimore City? And that's really how I got into social entrepreneurship. In Baltimore City, I launched the Elevation Awards program at Baltimore Core while I was working there. And then eventually that led to Innovation Work. So that's kind of the arc of the journey, essentially.
And there's a lot to break down here, right? Because, you started in school, doing computer engineering, you transitioned out of that. Can you talk a little bit more about your mindset around transitioning out of Comp E at a school that's predominantly known for its STEM-oriented majors and very much so prides itself on the ability of UMBC's Weed Out to be an actual weed out? So, explain that to us, because we also know that there is a struggle around, family when you're growing up, and then, them having a big influence on where you kind of go or direct yourself in terms of your career. But then also, I do want you to kind of talk on why you went and changed your, major, and what did you end up changing it to? Because I know you said you got your master's, but you didn't spend extra time. So how did industrial psych kind of fit in to what you were doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'll be honest with you, in that junior year when I had a little crisis, it was earlier in the year. And I remember just like feeling like, I remember I was in a lab, AND gates and OR gates going together. And I was just like, I'm not doing this. This is crazy. I had good mentors at UMBC. So being in student leadership, and I had access to faculty and staff members because of student leadership. So it wasn't going to my professors. It was going to, at the time, God rest his soul, Mr. Lamont Tolliver, who ran the Meyerhoff program. I wasn't a Meyerhoff, but he ran the Meyerhoff program. He was a Q. I'm a Sigma. We had a bond that was different in a different way. Sitting in his office and like ripping my hair off about what I was going to do, talk about changing your major, then going to the Meyerhoff and then go talk to them about that, right? Think about that. And then, Yvette Mosey Ross ran admissions, and, she's a vice provost now. Sat in her office because I was doing campus tours, and that's how I got to know her. And she was just like, you got one life to live, dude. Like, if you're not feeling it, I get the culture and your family, but they're not going to be here 20 years from now. You're gonna have to live with your own decisions. But what I actually ended up doing that was really constructive was I joined a McNair program that year out of the advice of some folks, like take an opportunity to like go into an immersive program and explore what might be. The summer between my junior year and senior year, I did research, applied research, and it seems really old now. The research thesis was, at the time, computer-based testing was popping up. So everything was going from paper tests, the SATs, the ACTs, right? Driver's license exams were all flipping to digital at that time. And I did this research study around the impact of computer-based testing on low-income communities. The idea that if you didn't have computers growing up, or you can't afford a computer, but now you have to go test on a computer, does it have a negative impact on your testing ability, on your scores? And again, it was technology, but psychology kind of pulled together. And that summer, I had a blast as a McNair scholar. I mean, doing research and looking at like person development, brain development, social cultural factors, and technology integrated in that. It was like, I was on a high, to be honest with you. That's how I came into the senior year, like, yeah, I'm doing it. Boom, I'm done. And it was random. There was an elective course. I did the entire psychology degree, literally from 100 to 4 whatever, in a year and a half. So it was 4.5 years total. My last year, I took a class in industrial psychology, and I took a class in interviewing. And those two classes really would shape me. It was like industrial psychology and then interviewing, like the idea of how to prepare for jobs and creating job interview questions and answers based on job descriptions. I really loved it. So that's kind of shifted into the recruitment space because of that. And I went to grad school to get a degree to really, really seal the deal.
That's awesome. And I'm not sure if you know, Jay, but all three of us are retrievers, graduates of UMBC.
That's right. Okay. That's what's up. Yes. You're right.
Retriever pod. They should put us on the radio seat.
But UMBC was a great place because of the mentors, right? Like I can name every single one of them. Donald Knight at the McKnight at the McNair office, Dr. Hill. Just having a class of Black folks you can reach out to who would just sit you down and had they didn't care what the long-term story was. They didn't care about the STEM thing. They just want you to be happy. That was helpful for me.
Yeah, I got a story I can tell on that. All in line, I was pursuing, with what you said, I was pursuing mechanical engineering up until sophomore year, where I just was not doing as well as I wanted to. I took an intro to entrepreneurship class, and that's really where MindStand came to be. But during that summer where I was interning at Penn State, but driving back down to Baltimore to work on what we were doing, I had these conversations with my mom about I had my internship, freshman year, great GPA. This was one of the worst experiences I've had. I can't see myself doing this for my own mental health. And my mom's like, come on, not every job is going to be like your internship. And I'm like, it kind of feels like it's going to be like that. So with MindStand growing, Dr. Rabowski and Greg Simmons, he's now at Ohio State now, but they were both huge supporters, just like what you said. You never realize how much people in your university are there to support you and care. You just have to open yourself up to it. I wrote this long email one night and I sent it to Dr. Rabowski just about everything I'm thinking, this precipice I'm in, where I'm, again, mechanical engineering major on paper, but I'm taking any class just to damn near stay on campus so I can work on this concept. Dr. Rabowski, within the morning after, books a meeting for me to come to his office the next day. I sit down in his room. The front desk person is so nice. He comes to me, picks up a piece of paper that's in front of me. I don't even realize it. And it's my transcript. He's already printed out my entire transcript and he's talking to me and he asks me, Michael, what's going on? And I tell him, I feel like I know what I want to do, but the people around me don't want me to do that, which was, I was thinking interdisciplinary studies. We didn't have an entrepreneurship major. And he says, who are the people that are pushing you a certain way? And I said, my dad, he's open to it. He helped fund, some of the initial steps we took, but my mom. And he said, I get it. I didn't have to go that deeper. He says, can you put her on a call? And I'm like, what? So I pull my phone. I'm like, best opportunity ever. Am I right? Pull out my phone, call my mom. She doesn't pick up, I believe, but she leaves he says, I'll leave a message. He has my resume open. I'll never forget this. Is on the phone, doing the voicemail. And he's saying, Michael is a very smart kid. He's a Meyerhoff scholar. He reads through the classes that I'm doing well on. He looks at some of the classes that I'm not doing as well on. And he says, he's done well. He's taken multivariable calculus. He's doing differential equations. He can really pursue math as a degree. And it only takes 3, I think, more classes and 2 electives for him to graduate with this. This is a prestigious opportunity, and he has something great in mind, Stan. And I just couldn't believe that the president of my university was leaving a voicemail to my mom to tell her, not that, I need to leave school or that this school might not be right for me or trying to pitch the school. But here's a unique opportunity for me to pursue entrepreneurship and still get that degree. And I'll always remember that. He's always been a great mentor for me because of that.
Yeah, that's dope. I mean, you gave me a little PTSD with the DFQ and the calculus, but I still got some books somewhere around here from those years of my life. But that's pretty awesome. Yeah, UMBC is a very special place, and till today I'm still connected for all those reasons. It was really a place. And I'll add this one more thing. I think one benefit I did have is that my parents, we came from Nigeria, straight from Lagos, and my dad got a 2-year degree in accounting, in Ghana when he was younger. My mom, high school, was an entrepreneur herself, ran a salon, and I'm the oldest of 5. So I'm really the first person they're experimenting with this college experience with. It didn't have any preconceived notions, right? They had ideas about what I should be, but they didn't really know how to counsel me through the crisis because they haven't been through it themselves. So when I would come back and I said, I spoke to this person on campus, there was some weight to me securing outside counsel and then bringing that to them. Because for them, it was just like, it's 5 of y'all. You're the first one. You figure yourself out. We'll get to the other 4 because I don't know what's going on with you. And quite frankly, it took a while, but it finally came around to it. But I think not having extra weight because of what my dad did or my mom did and following in their footsteps. My dad wanted me to be an accountant. I didn't want to do it. We were fine on that. So I think it gave me a little bit of more freedom though, because it was like uncharted waters for everyone, not just me.
Definitely.
No, I appreciate you mentioning that about the differences between kind of your mind state, your parents' mind state of them not really having an experience here, going to college here in the United States. However, they do have some type of education, right? But then you also make sure to note that just because they had that extra education does not mean they would have understood the societal systems that you are coming to face with as you grow up here, because they did not grow up here, right? It's for me, for example, although both of my parents are first generation college students, for example, I'm technically, what would you call, as far as being an immigrant, I'm 1.5. So my dad wasn't born here, but my mom was. So I'm just in the same thick of it. We've all had kind of the similar upbringing and situation where, again, we've all had this epiphany where we're in college, shit's not working out. I was also a Comp B, switched to Comp Sci. Then I went to global studies because they did not have a business entrepreneurship major, right? Same story, same concept. Right? And then also still had to deal with the fact that I had to talk to my parents at the end of the day, who are also immigrants, who also pushed me into the STEM fields, who are also nurses and pharmacists themselves, and just looking at me like, the hell is going on with my firstborn? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I do appreciate, again, it's like the similarity in all of these stories that, is important, again, for a lot of our audience members to understand that if you are still in your early career or even in college still, there is, again, opportunity. There's a lot of decisions that you still need to make. And it's not to say that you shouldn't take these things lightly, but again, you have time to change your mind if that's what you so choose, right? I think that what Jay is mentioning is just because, it doesn't work out, even though you've been working on this the entire of your life, you're almost out of school, you can change it in your last year. I mean, it's going to suck, but you can change it, right? It's doable. I think that that's also why that in most cases now, the average tenure of college students is actually increasing to 5-6 years now, instead of just the original 4.5, which again, we can talk about that later on, but I do want to talk to you about your what other life experiences that you had that may have added to your overall experience as an entrepreneur, or while you were growing up as a young career professional, kind of going from HR to, again, full-fledged back into either entrepreneurship or, I guess working for somebody, but with the intent of helping entrepreneurs. So can you explain a little bit about that and how your kind of day-to-day and the life experiences that you've had have helped you kind of get to where you are?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I always I try not to ever forget is that the foundations of my life were set pretty early by the things that matter from a value standpoint, right? My grandmothers especially were pretty pivotal in this. My parents also followed suit. My dad is the oldest. My mom is the oldest. I'm the oldest. There's a lot of oldest thing being passed down. And my grandfather was an oldest. So there was a sense of one community responsibility that you inherit as an oldest, especially the oldest of an oldest of an oldest of an oldest, right? It's just there's something there. There's also something about watching my family members in Nigeria, most of them are still there, get education. but can't find jobs in the things they studied, and they end up having to go start a business anyway, right? So this idea that you don't let the external environment limit your possibilities, right? Like there's just always something about, you can always find a way to create, even if it's reinventing yourself. Because I've watched so many family members reinvent themselves just to stay afloat. I think all this micro messaging, after a while, you start realizing like, yeah, life is about what you make it, in investing in yourself and figure out what is good for you, and being happy with what you're doing, and being content in that. So I think that really served me well in my recruiting career, right? Because a lot of my recruiting career, I realized that a psychology came in real handy, right? I had to deal with a lot of folks who were entering the workforce for the first time and dealing with those same battles about what do I want to do? Like, oh, I got a finance degree from Harvard, but I really, really want to go to Teach for America. And I'm like, then go do it. It's not a death sentence. It's 2 years and you're done, or whatever. And then you figure out if you want to go back to Goldman Sachs or not, right? Or some of the folks on the tailor end of their careers is like, I'm 50 or 55 and I'm retiring, but I don't want to stop yet. I want to do something else. How do I reinvent myself? And like, yeah, there's steps to that too. Like, go take some coding classes, or go pick up a minor at a community college and then just do something. Or watching people, this one was really big, like 2008 financial crisis. At that time, like a lot of our clients across the country were like private sector heavy. And I watched people's careers tank and fall apart left and right, right? And people had to go reinvent themselves because the system and this economy that they knew just fell out from under them. I mean, there's my dad who lost like, I don't know what portion of his federal government pension. That was one thing, but he still had a job. But then the folks who are working on Wall Street who just lost it all, right? They had to go reimagine. So I think there were all these opportunities that allowed me to just accept the fact that reinventing is just part of life. What's not okay is being stale. Because that's when you get the phone call, Jay, can you help me fire this person? Because they're just not excited to be here anymore. So I think there's just some things around community responsibility and being mindful, not just of what I want to do and what makes me quote unquote successful, but making sure others around me were also following suit, and that I don't leave, to Governor Moore's comments, like don't leave someone behind, especially if they're right next to you. And then the idea of reinventing yourself is a message that I've seen over and over and over again throughout my career.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I think that's, again, for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, it's a similar cyclical cycle, right? Like we have to go through periods of reinventing, testing, trialing, seeing what works, and then eventually coming back to, this is what's going to be the solution. It works best, or it gave me the most results out of the reinvention. So I'm going to go with this path on my life for the next however long you decide, and then switch it up if that doesn't work out, right? So appreciate you mentioning that. And then Michael, before I move on, do you have anything else?
Yeah, just wanted to know any books that was really important to you or that you like to share with others.
I got a whole stack of them that I keep buying, but I can't get time to read. So that's the problem right now. Let's see. There was a great book that I read, and it was like my late 20s. I was hitting a crisis where it wasn't about career. It was about a lot of different things. It's like maturation as a man, and like what's life going to look like. And I remember finding this book, Before I Do, or something like that, by T.D. Jakes. And he laid out like a bunch of aspects of your life where you need to mature, whether it's relationships, finances, friendships, all the stuff. And like this idea of like taking stock of who you are today, who you want to be, what you need to leave behind, what do you need to like what are the things you need to do to like reinvent yourself, maybe is a word, but that was really pivotal for me because it really, really helped me like take stock of not just growing at a pace that was just like letting life do me, as opposed to me planning for life, right? So that was one really, really good one. There was another one, I can't remember the name right now. A lot of books are in a box. It was one about a corporate leader who launched a humanitarian organization. I'm trying to remember which one right now. And the book chronicled his experiences in the private sector, running a big business, and then eventually chooses to leave that to go launch and lead a nonprofit. And what was calling him in that moment, and what was he seeing? And not that everyone needs to go do that, but it was really, really helpful to read a book like that when I was just like, at some point I might want to do something different. And this man just laid it out and just said, don't let yourself be beholden to a title or some vision of a career you had. If you feel like it's a wrap, it's a wrap. And that book was really pivotal for me when I was starting to go through my own struggles of like, okay, is this really what I want to be doing? I had this idea in my mind. I want to be a chief diversity officer or chief HR officer one day. And then I had to like just let go of all of that and figure out what I wanted to do next. And then there's a bunch of books now that are important to my field of work now, like The Color of Money, and a bunch of stuff around how societal challenges came the way to be like they are now. Because if you're gonna try to come up with a new system or fix a system, you gotta like really know how the system was built. And I'll give you one more. Sorry, this one I would never forget. When I finished my master's degree, I was thinking about going to law school, and I remember going to the dean of the law school where I was doing my master's degree, University of Baltimore. You're like, why do you want to go to law school? I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking I might want to go back in a corporate, like, employment law, maybe, or something. Employment law, just
counsel.
Yeah, whatever, right? And they assigned me this book, Courtroom 302. Courtroom 302 is a courtroom in the Cook County jail system in Chicago. And it just chronicled the stories of people that came through Courtroom 302 over a period of time. And it told the stories from the lenses of the judge, the defendants, the public defender, and all these folks. And like how this justice system and the lives of the people that are interconnected by it. It was not a pleasant book to read, right? And after several months of coming back in to check in as I was reading the book, he was just like, yeah, law sounds nice, but this is the ugly side of it. If you really want to, you want to do this? You really want to do this? I was like, yeah, I'm good. No, thanks. I'll stick to it. That's the book that said what you should not do based on where you think your values lie or what your interest might be. So it's not always the books that tell you what is right. It's the books that tell you don't go down that road. So I appreciate that book for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear that you live by like the saying that life is about the journey. Don't get too caught up, like you said, on titles. Don't be scared to reinvent yourself, to make that pivot, because it's more about what you can learn rather than how people revere you or honor you or say, hey, don't talk to him yet. That whole saying a lot of entrepreneurs hear. You've always been like a kind person and someone that's always welcome to have a conversation with anyone.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, for whatever it's worth, my story is, I laugh all the time. I run an impact investment fund. I have no finance degree, right? I mean, what business do I have running the fund, right? But at the end of the day, there's something to be said about if you're interested in something, you teach yourself enough, and then you surround yourself by smart people who know more, so you can rely on them for the rest, right? But at the end of the day, it's what's the soul you're bringing to it, because that's the why is really what matters the most. You can get the skills later. The why is what keeps you there. So I hold dear to that, because I think for a lot of folks that are going through career journeys and trying to figure out the shift, some things seem daunting. And then when you figure out why you want to do that thing, it's easier to then acquire the skills and then figure out where you fill the gaps with other people that know things that you don't need to know, because you don't need to know everything, right? But the why is core. And I know why I'm doing the thing, even though I have no business doing it. And I think that comes through, and nobody then questions the pedigree, because the why is generally solid. I would like to believe so, at least.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, why y'all working? I mean, you shared it really well. On that line, one last question. So with everything that you've done, if you had to restart, if you had to reset, being, 17, what would you do differently, and or what would you do?
If I were to go back to 17, this is probably dangerous advice for some. It's not for everyone. I may have chosen not to go to college.
Why is that?
Because the idea of pursuing computer engineering was about what the external data said I should do. Now, don't get me wrong, great relationships came out of it, right? But I also have a student loan debt I got to pay off because I made a decision to go study computer engineering for a bunch of years, right? I may have just chosen to launch a business instead, knowing what I know now about what is possible. Because then, it's just like this, the path that people laid for you. You came into this country so you can go to college, right? Study this thing. And then you learn the lessons later as to why maybe you don't want to do that thing to begin with. But I lost a lot of money doing that. The student loans, right? If I knew any different, maybe I would have become an entrepreneur sooner. Maybe I would have just said, you know what, let me go work in industry and come back and get the degree later when I know what I want the degree in, right? I mean, I may have done some things differently. I have no regrets whatsoever. But in hindsight, if my son said tomorrow that he didn't want to go to college, I'm gonna be like, cool, what business we starting, right?
Because I think do something.
I mean, got to do something, right? But in that is acknowledging what I did not know then was that when my parents decided to take that risk and move us out of Nigeria to the United States, I did not realize how much of the world was open to me at that point. You still had a mindset that you came here to do this thing so you can earn. But there was no one talking about, oh, you can just run a business, or you can just do this, or you can just do that. The options weren't readily available visibly. It was only until I got into the world and got to know people and hear their stories, I was like, there's so many pathways, right? I don't want my children to have to feel locked in, because I have the benefit of hindsight, right? I can help guide and not try to put them in a box. That is so anti-Nigerian of me, but it is what it is, right? It's like if you know what you're passionate about early, just go try it. Just go. Because the benefit right now is that I hope I am in a position that they don't have to worry about what I was worried about. If I go start something and it doesn't go well, ain't no couch to go back to. I got 4 younger ones, right? That's it. I hope my children will have a place to come to in the time that something doesn't work out, so that they can be free. And that's what I hope to pass on, right? It's a freedom of pursuit, which I think that's what we work for, is to give the next generation something else that puts them in a better position. Is part of why we work.
Love that. Thank you so much, Jay, for your thoughts and your response. This has been an amazing episode. We got another segment we're going to get into. But for now, thank you so much. I'm your co-host, Michael Ogusanya.
I'm Allergic.
This is Why Y'all Working. Peace.
Thanks.